joining us now to discuss, Republican Congressman Mike Turner of Ohio. He is the ranking Republican on the House Intelligence Committee. He's also on the House Armed Services Committee. Congressman, good to see you as always. So congressional sources tell CNN today that there are a number of issues being sorted through when it comes to this $33 billion for additional aid to Ukraine. They say it will likely take at least a few weeks to get the bill's language sorted out. As you know, Ukraine is under attack right now. Do they have that much time to wait?
Well, this spending package includes more than just aid directed to Ukraine. And the president does have some authorities with the Department of Defense to ensure that there are continued flows of weapons and assistance to Ukraine. This package includes some additional resources for also our NATO allies so that we can shore up that eastern front. Those are going to be very important. And as you just heard, the details that the White House are putting together are not yet complete. But certainly, I think overall, you're going to have a very receptive, bipartisan, bicameral support for this bill.
So you do think a number of Republicans are going to join with Democrats to pass this?
Well, everybody knows that this aid to Ukraine is essential. And when you look at what Russia has been doing, the inhuman killing of innocent civilians, the destruction of cities in Ukraine, the leadership of President Zelensky, I think people are very committed to continue giving Russia difficulty in Ukraine.
I spoke to the Ukrainian ambassador to the UK, Vadim Prestiko, on Friday. This is partly what he told me Ukraine still needs. Take a listen.
We need anti-air, anti-sea, something which will allow us to hit more ships. And there are a couple of nations in the world which actually have these technologies, especially those ones who have a bigger fleets.
So he was talking about anti-air and anti-aircraft and anti-sea weapons. Does the U.S. have that kind of weaponry to give to the Ukrainians?
Well, the White House has put in their basic construct of this bill, again, we haven't seen language yet, that heavy artillery, anti-sea, anti-air would be included. We don't know the specifics of those. Certainly the UK has said before that they also would be providing Ukraine with assistance with anti-sea. The goal here, obviously, is to give Ukraine some relief by having a standoff, both in just the air and in the sea, so that they can lessen the shelling that has occurred of innocent civilians.
Today, Germany's foreign minister told CNN that his country is ready to agree to an embargo on Russian oil. That doesn't include Russian gas, which Germany still depends on. How big of a step could this be in reducing the massive amounts of cash that Europe is still handing over to Putin and Russia every single day?
Well, it's certainly a step in the right direction. What it's showing is that there's going to be consequences for Russia for this. That it's not just going to be a ground war between Ukraine and Russia with aid coming from other Ukrainian allies to give them the weaponry that they need. That it's going to have broader ramifications beyond just the sanctions that the United States has put in place and the EU has put in place. That's very important. When you become a pariah, when you become that nation state that people now see as an international adversary, and as breaking the norms of just general humane standards, then those actions are the kind that make a difference and that certainly signal to Russia that the world does see them differently and that they're going to be received differently.
So Russia is finally allowing some civilians to leave the Azovstal steel plant in Mariupol. Do you think that, and the release of Trevor Reed, does that signify, I don't want to be overly naive about this, but does that signify that maybe Putin is getting more serious about diplomacy?
I don't believe so. I believe that if you look at what's been happening around this steel plant, they're almost to a stalemate. If you look in other areas where Russia has any advantage whatsoever, they're just killing and slaughtering innocent civilians. I mean, you're seeing mass graves, you're seeing all of the types of things that people say rise to the level of actual war crimes by Russia. So I don't take any of these small things as signals when you know what they're doing on a regular basis, and they have done in this country.
I've heard it hypothesized that this conflict will likely end with basically an occupied Ukraine, maybe east of the river, and then a free Ukraine west of the river, a negotiated settlement. Is that your best guess how this ends?
Yeah, well, as we know, Russia already occupies Ukraine in Crimea, and then have continued to undertake the attack against the Ukraine, having attempted to take the entire country. I think anything that we see, it's going to be hard to rely on any representation that Russia makes. They've already entered into a memorandum with Ukraine guaranteeing their territorial integrity before they invaded and took Crimea. So I think this is going to be very, very difficult in any type of diplomatic solution that might come about imminently, because Russia just can't be trusted.
Republican Congressman Mike Turner of Ohio, the ranking Republican on Intel. Thank you so much for your time, sir. Good to see you as always.